This is Observations with Otsu. I'm going to apologize on a couple fronts, as is the norm. I'm always saying I'm sorry. First of all, this is a delayed video. I usually do these on Mondays because I cover the weekly time frame, and currently it's Tuesday, and in fact it's potentially Wednesday, depending on where you are in the world. So this is delayed just a little bit. Two, I'm also not feeling very well. My As you guys know, I have a wife, I have a son, and they both have been sick, and it sounds like I might be getting something to myself. We'll see how that goes. I'm feeling okay, but I am feeling sluggish overall. So I apologize if this is going to be a little short, or perhaps I don't feel as energetic because it's kind of affecting me. But I'm going to cover what I can, and so we'll we'll talk about the theme. We'll talk about everything. We'll talk about a lot of preliminaries. We have a lot of things to cover as far as new content. So if you have liked my content, I have a lot of stuff in store. I'll mention that, and we'll just kind of go through the weekly time frames and daily time frames for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Sol, and probably the Bitcoin dominance and ETH BTC. I think we'll cover the five of those, and maybe some other ones if we have time. We had a pretty big red day so far today, and I that plays into what I'm going to be talking about for the theme as well. So we'll just kind of get right started with everything. All right, so the theme for today is called Memory Lane and Bear Market PSTD, and those are that might feel out of place compared to all the themes that I've had for the past month. Please check out all my videos because even though the dates and the analysis are time sensitive, the themes are not time sensitive. They can be watched over and over again. And I've mentioned for some time that we had a rally to come. The rally has showed up, and now overall, I think that we might get a little bit of a correction, but I still am very hopeful about the run. I say that word purposely because I think we are in a hope stage. I do think it's going to last longer than we might think. A lot of people still think that we're going to do up only, and I think the better translation will be up most of the time. And I don't want you to get that confused, because if you the more you think about up only and that there's no corrections possible, the more you're going to think about higher leverage options, and then you're going to get wiped out on a small dip. And there's nothing worse. I can tell you, there's nothing worse than getting stopped out, liquidated on a 90%, 95% up only rally. Like you get wiped out on the only 5% that it went down, and that's a gut punch. I'm telling you, I've done that a few times. Never again, as long as I can avoid that. So gonna gonna cover that a little bit, but I've got four things I'm gonna cover for as far as the theme. I'm gonna cover the recent drop, and because I think that plays into the memory lane, the way things have gone for the past year so far as price action. Um, and then and I'm gonna layer that and kind of thread that into the analysis for today is what are we looking at? What options can we look at as far as new highs? Are we going to chop? Or we got new lower targets? What is that going to look like? The second thing is going to be price action ideas for the rest of the year. That's something that I'm going to think of because on this chart here, um, I mean, here's the new year, that red line. I mean, we're less than 60 days away. We're probably closer to 45, 50 days away. And so that's going to play into it. And you might think this is a little bit early, but when the holiday season gets rolled around, you're not going to have time to think about it. And that's true. That's even true for the past 2 to 3 weeks. A lot of people, like I've been, I don't want to be a broken record, but this is going to be a memory lane video, excuse me, that I've discussed that we would get market surges for this entire year. And now that we finally got it, and a lot of people are not positioned properly. And so this is this why I want to mention the memory lane aspect is don't make the same mistakes that me or you or whoever has made already this year as we go into 2024, because I do think 2024 is going to be a very very big year. I do think that we'll go to new highs. I don't think this time is different as far as the halving or anything else goes. I'm not going to look for alternative analysis just for the cool factor. There's no reason for me to think otherwise. I'm not look. You guys know I don't look at the economy when I trade. I don't look at PAL meetings. I don't look at any of this stuff. Okay, I just look at the charts. Okay, I don't try to make wild predictions. That being said, I'm going to look at the options that we have for the rest of this year, going into next year, especially that next year is a halving year. Next year is an election year as well. Halving years tend to happen on election years, by the way. And going into that, right, I don't necessarily think they have an influence per se, but they kind of might. It just depends. That's not my angle, right? My angle is going to be what are some price options that we can say? What are my low targets for the rest of this year? What are my high targets for the rest of this year? And then we can play with that. So that's the second thing I'll discuss. The third thing, I got four total. The third thing is I'm going to call back some ideas in the past that can help us now. I actually just kind of covered that a little bit, but I'm going to look at some past things that we had for this year and for last year, honestly, and possibly even the year before to the last end of the bull cycle to see what we can come up with, right? And just is there anything that we can compare to look at the next 2 to 14 months, even the next 18 months? Because I will not be surprised if the top for the next 4 years is next year. Okay, and I don't say that lightly. I do think that we have a lot more to go as far as the bull run is concerned, but I'm my all-time high price target is not as high as other ones. I'm thinking maybe 120 grand at the most, potentially. We'll take a look at that, but overall, I want to look ahead by looking back and see what can we come up with? What are some theories? What are some ideas? Because I don't want you to. The last thing I want you to do is make the same mistake again. Okay? Because the first time it could be an accident. Second time, maybe you didn't learn. Third time, fourth time, fifth time, sixth time, seventh time, that's on you. So I want you to prevent the whole. I want you to prevent making the same mistakes. The whole concept of me trading, and I'll be honest with you, I don't feel like I'm the best trader overall, but the way I gain an edge, I actually have two edges. One, I try to make money by trying not to lose money. That's the thing. If you can't lose money, you have more options to make money. The best offense is a good defense. You may have heard that if you're into sports. Okay. And so the second option is the second edge is to always keep learning. What's one more thing I can learn this week? What's one more thing I can learn next week and the next week and the next week? And honestly, it's just as simple. You take 30 minutes a day or per week, 30 minutes a week to try to learn something new. Write it down in your notebook and try to look for that as you trade. And I can guarantee you, you'll get better at whatever you are doing. Okay. And then the fourth thing is being mindful of the past of your bearish PA experiences, and that goes into the bear market PTSD. I don't want you to get into the system that I did, where I was too afraid to buy. So I started in 2017. That was my first cycle. Okay, I lived through the entirety. I lived in the trenches in 2018 every single day, and it did do a lot for my psyche. I did see a lot of people give up for some reason. I I went through. I did. There was a time where I gave up slightly, but I was at another job, and then I came back to the markets. Fortunately, I had a really good time. Um, and I gained. I left my. Actually, it was kind of accidental. I left my money in Bitcoin, and it went up like 220%. And I went up like 2x or something like that, and I was like, okay, I can I can get back into this, and so for better or worse, I'm still here. So, but the second cycle, I saw a lot of opportunities, and actually, the second cycle was probably just as bad. I made more money in the second cycle, of course, but it was more probably painstaking the second time around because I saw the mistakes I made, just simple mistakes. I'm telling you, I've made a lot of mistakes in the past 6 years, and out of all the top mistakes, like some of them are simple, easy, simple, easy mistakes that I made. That if I made the correct choice instead, I would not be recording this video because I would be retired. Okay, I've made a lot of mistakes, and I don't want to say some of them weren't necessarily mistakes. Some of them were like I could have made better decisions, I guess I should say, and those decisions could have made me have 50 times what I have now, and I'm not joking by that. So we'll go into that. Basically, I'm saying this to say like you may, if you've been through the bear market, chances are most of you guys are not new within the past 6 months, right? You've been here for at least 12 months. If that's the case, you probably have the same bear market PTSD I did, and so I want you to try to overcome that. So this may be a long video. Again, I'm not feeling well, so hopefully I can, maybe I'll do a part one, part two, going into that. But that's the four things I want to discuss. In addition, the markets as well, of course, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. So we'll cover all of that. Overall, yeah, I guess I'll wait for the markets aspect later on. But that's the four things I want to discuss. I'm going to go into some updates for my Twitter, Discord, everything, and then we'll get started into the theme of this video. So, with some updates I got going on, honestly, a lot of it is going to be scripts that I have, a lot of Discord things. We'll get into it. This is what you see on screen right now is part of my Aaron Pro scripts. These have been years in the making. These have been requested by my Discord community, my followers, everything like that. So I have a lot of scripts and trade indicators, things like that. They were going to be used for my Aaron bots. A lot of you guys have suggested that I have maybe a lifetime access for the scripts on TradingView. Well, the good news is I've launched a lot of these this week and over the past 7 days. And so I'm going to kind of go over these with you. If you're not interested with these, you can just go ahead and fast forward to the next scene. That's completely fine. I'm going to go through these one by one, tell you the price points, tell you all this stuff, and then we'll get into that. So the first thing is the Apex Classic and Apex Pro scripts. Those are a two-in-one combo. They are currently not offered separately. These are offered together. I may offer them separately in the future, but right now I want to keep them the same. You get lifetime access for this, so you can buy them at the WAP store. You can contact me on here with these here. I will leave a link in the description on all my videos for this on YouTube and X to kind of uh, give you access to that if you want to. I'm gonna also I also lifetime access. I offer live continual back testing, and I want to kind of cover that just a second here. And I'm gonna go back here, and so I have a few slides here as well. So the Apex script, I have a back test number one. This is a 1 hour video that's been on YouTube for about a week now. I've recorded this quote unquote live. Basically, I recorded my process while I did the back test. I can promise you that I'm one of the few, if only, people that do this. So it's one of these things like this isn't a thing. People don't show you this kind of transparency, okay? A lot of people will just make an indicator and tell you some random BS back test from the bull run, right? And try to sell it to you for $4,000 or something like that. And we just had somebody the other day do that. I think that Ben Armstrong guy or whatever, like try to sell you a $4,000 script. Okay, that's not me. First of all, a lot of my scripts have been around for 4 years. Three of the five of my scripts, the first three that I have published, are all scripts that I personally use. That's also why I was able to onboard them so quickly. It's because I've already used them. I already back tested them. I went ahead and back tested and recorded them live. And so this is the first video of that. I went over um, 1 day and 12-hour time frames, and I used the Monte Carlo method back test, which means I basically take dates at random. I took 40 trades at random, and I calculated all these together. And the idea behind that is no matter how many times you do this, as long as you take 40, the same number of trades, 40, you're gonna come up with the same result. Okay, and I was able to do that, and it was only off by like the first. So the first trade was like an average trade of like 1.22, and the other one was like I can't remember, but it was like 2% or something off. So and that's a good thing. That's because you got the law of averages there, and so over time the averages are going to stay the same. Is kind of what I'm mentioning. So that the idea is Monte Carlo is used for algorithmic based trading, and that's also a good backtest method. And so that's the first one that I covered. I also covered a second one covering the same indicator but with 4 hour and 1 hour. And again, live backtest, all recorded. I do pause. I mute my mic in case I sneeze or cough or whatever. But other than that, it's complete. It's out of an hour video. I maybe have edited 3 seconds out of each one. So just keep that in mind. So the back tests are very transparent, and I kind of go into that. So this one's here. So and you also get some Discord benefits. I haven't really released what they are yet, in case you're interested in that. It's basically gonna be discounts on some services, like Nowhere Premium perhaps, and I haven't quite announced that yet, but script members are gonna get Discord benefits, mainly because a lot of the services that I offer, so like the Apex, so for the Aron Pro bots, a lot of those bots are based off of the same um, algorithm as the Apex scripts. Okay, so if you get access to these scripts, the bots will come at a discount, maybe free. It just depends how I want to present that. Because guess what? You already have access to them anyway if you have lifetime access to the script. Okay, the script itself is kind of a direct correlation to the bots. So that being said, there's you might as well just get that for free, right? Or discount, or we'll see how that goes. I haven't quite announced that yet, but join my Discord if you haven't, because I will announce that in some form. I'm going to probably stop releasing a lot of things for the rest of the week because I've already released like 5 things, and all these are paid. So I don't want you to get the impression that I'm trying to get money out of people. That's not where I'm going with this. I was just working really hard, and it came out like that. The so as far as pricing goes, it's $740. It is relatively high compared to what your expectations might be. But again, I want to emphasize a lot of these scripts. I've done a lot of hours, in some cases hundreds of hours of building this up. I've used these scripts personally to make money, and I've illustrated that over the years. You are welcome to go. I don't delete tweets that often. You're welcome to go to my profile, look at my images that have charts, and look for the ones that have some sort of funny looking script. That's going to be these. Okay, I use these. And that is my evidence that I use these. Okay. In addition to that, I have 2 hours of back testing live for just this script alone. I'm going to have more back testing in the future for future trades. Okay, and one of the surprises that I haven't shared or I have shared, I should say, is that I plan to have a portfolio for premium members that use this script directly. Okay, so that portfolio will have a direct impact on this script. Okay, and so that's pretty yeah, people don't do that. Okay, people don't say, hey, I'm going to make a script and then I'm going to do a portfolio challenge live and open in front of my own script. People don't do that. Okay, and the reason I'm doing it is because I want to have overwhelming evidence to know that this is a system that I trust. Okay, a lot of people won't do that. Okay, I know people, I know influencers, people that I've unfollowed, people that are very rude people in person, but will try to sell you everything that they can, who currently offer uh, memberships that are higher than what I'm asking for this per month, because I have a lifetime one-time payment option. I also have a 4-month payment option of $200 a month, but these other people, they charge even more money than that, to share BS for you. Like, there's a lot of people in the group, but only 1 or 2 people actually do the work. So, and again, I'm not talking about anybody specifically right now, but I do know that there are people out there that have tried to sell you scripts for $500 a month that are basically just complex, not even complex, just basic, moving averages, right? So, um, I don't want to get into that because I don't want to get into the drama of that. But I just want you to know, like, hey, those people, a lot of their back testing was done during the bull market of 2017 or 2020. Wasn't done during the entire history of price action or during bear markets, things like that. So I want you to keep that in mind. So the whole idea of this is honesty and transparency. And yes, that is why I'm charging a premium to this, because my focus is on quality. And honestly, based off the back testing results, the $720 or 740, I should say, is actually a good deal. I was honestly my initial price point was double that. So I think the more you look at this, the more you will understand that, I should say. So that's the first one. The second one is the ATMR Aaron transcript. This is the Aaron transcript that a lot of you guys see that I have. That's the blue line. Looks like a whole average kind of thing. Same process with this. You get lifetime access, continual backtesting benefits for Discord. And here's the shop. Here's the link for that. I'll link that in the description. But this is also a one-time payment or 4-month payment options. If you want the one-time payment, I believe it's 370 and $370. And if you want the 4-month option, I think it's like $400 divided by 4, so $100 a month. So overall, again, I want to emphasize these are scripts that I use every day. Okay, when I trade and I've made money off of these were initially built for my personal trading strategy that gained enough traction and interest that I could share it to everyone. And so that's just kind of how that goes. So on this one, this is the liquidity indicator. I have not released this just yet, so I don't know the pricing on this, but this is the one where I look at the divergences, the reversal patterns. This is the script that got me to buy at 16,800. Okay. So I want you to keep in mind. So this is the cheapest of the three, by the way, but this is the one that has made me the most money as far as positioning. This is a very good position-based indicator. It is very good on finding reversal patterns and breaking bars, breaking patterns, things like that. So it's worth mentioning. I haven't published it just yet. It's going to be published later this week, maybe next week, and so we'll kind of go into that and go with that. So I'll save that a little more for later, but the same benefits apply, same payment options. I do plan on offering a free trial as well, and so let me know if that's something that interests you, and I could kind of set that up. I think I'm going to set it up anyway, but just let me know if you have interest. So the next one I announced was Nowhere HQ Premium. Nowhere HQ is my Discord group, and so you're going to get quite a bit of things on this. You're going to get a trading portfolio. A lot of people offer trading portfolios, so I'm going to offer one on a monthly. This is going to be a monthly service. I think I may have a quarterly offering. I don't want to do anything more than 6 months, I think, for payment options. But I am willing to do discounts for multi-months. I haven't thought of that just yet, so I'm getting ready to. I have already announced this, but I am working on the structure to integrate this. So there's going to be a trading portfolio. And so basically, I'm going to have a portfolio. I'm going to play positions, and the goal is to just make as much money as I can. I'm also going to have premium charts. So I do have 3 normal free channels for charts. I'm going to have another premium chart channel where I explain the positions more, explain my reasoning more, go into that. I'm also going to have a small cap channel where I discuss much lower market cap coins. And the reason I have to do that because if I do that out in the open, the small caps are going to gain too much traction. So by siloing this into the premium thing, we get more of a smaller crowd that's much more interested in this. The coins are not likely to pump just because I mentioned them, but because people are actually interested in them. So I felt like that was just the best appropriate. And I offered that. That originally wasn't part of my lineup, and I have basically offered that at really no additional cost to the premium that I'm going to offer. The pricing is going to be about $25 a month. So somewhere between $20 and $30 a month. I think I'm aiming about 25, and then I'm going to lock that price in for new members. So if probably for the rest of the year, if you sign up basically within the next 2 to 3 weeks of it being launched, you will get in at that $25 price range. So, and I'm gonna have daily video updates. I already do daily video updates for Nowhere, and so what I'm gonna do is I've already do 5 a week for my free Discord. What I'm gonna do is that's gonna get reduced down to about 2, because I also do observations for free. I also do Nowhere market updates for free. So free members are still gonna get 4 videos for free uh, a week, which is still more than most people are offering. And then I'm going to do daily premium updates for premium members, and that way I'm going to do the same. If you're familiar with my mini markets, it's going to be an upgraded version of that where I talk about positions, things like that. I'm also going to, they might be a little bit longer, or they'll probably be the same length, about 10 minutes a day, but it'll maybe be more precise. So we'll look at that as well. And then in addition to that, there's going to be TA-based videos, theme-based videos, if you want to see that as well. Premium chat, things like that. So I'm very interested in this. This is actually my most requested one. So that's something that people are looking forward to. Again, I'm going to see if I can price this as good as I can, maybe get an introductory discount, things like that. So, in addition to that, I got way more. I got the Aaron Pro bots. I haven't released these just yet. These are going to be a new release next week. That they are an integrated version. They are like a month to month version of my scripts. So if you can't afford the scripts perhaps, or you just want something basic, you get the Aaron Pro bots where it gives you monthly access. It gives you access to all of my scripts as far as the alerts. So these are going to be Discord alerts. You're not going to get TradingView access. And then you're going to have 1 day, 12-hour, 4 hour, 1 hour time frames available. So if you are interested in that, that's going to be the price point for that is going to be somewhere between $20 to $50, depending on the type of signals that you want. So and again, I haven't quite figured out the packaging for that. And also, if you want the Aaron Pro bots and the Nowhere HQ together, I will be discounting that together as well. So a lot of things. Yeah, there's a lot of prices around here, and I'm not trying to make it confusing, but I'm trying to price this accordingly. And then if you want something beyond the time frames listed, that's where I'm gonna have two options. One, that's where the scripts come into play because the scripts give you unlimited time frames, basically according to your imagination. You also, again, it's a trading for you script, so you get access to use those for forex markets or equities markets, Uniswap coins. It's and that's why they're priced higher. Like my Apex Classic script is the highest price thing of all. 740 is the very highest tier that I have. Okay, and the reason for that is because it's so customizable. It's lifetime. It's gonna get updates, things like that. So, and honestly, I don't plan to offer any discounts either, just because that's my bread and butter. That's my personal bread and butter that I have made for myself, that I have allowed to just open extend to other people. So, and so we got the Aaron Probots is a monthly version of that, and then we can go with that. And then last but not least is Apex Academy. So there's a few different things here. Apex Academy is my master class, and so in 2022 it was a 12-week course. I've changed that into an 8-week course. That's gonna be in 2024, sometime in January. Now, what I have right here on screen is Apex Legacy, Apex Academy Legacy. This is the previous 12-week course program that I have recorded, and I'm offering it as uh, for for everyone that wishes to purchase it. It's going to have lifetime access. There's 50 hours of video content, covers everything that we covered in the academy except for maybe Q&A sessions. And it talks about ARIN trading, even advanced ARIN trading that people don't do. I did not create ARIN, but I created the advanced application to ARIN. Like nobody in the world has done that. So I want to emphasize that. And then also PA trading, trend and momentum trading, learning how to trade your emotions and more. And so this is the already pre-recorded from the last academy. I'm offering it with 50% off if you use the promo code APEX. So those are all the things that I'm covering. If you're interested in any of those, feel free to sign up at the links in the description. And then you can just kind of get right started with that. I hope any of this can benefit you. That's really the thing that I'm leading to for doing this is like this is something that my followers and my community has asked me to do, and so I'm offering them at the best possible price point to start with that I can. And so we'll kind of continue to go on with that. And anyway, I hope some of that helps you. And maybe help me, or maybe comment, maybe say what which one you might like the most. So anyway, that's the all the updates. I'm gonna get into the theme of the video. So overall, for the theme for this video, as the title says, is memory lane and bear market PTSD. And so the overall goal for this is to look in the past and look at everything that we can tell, how we can learn from it, how we can use it to our advantage, things like that. But also on the bear market PTSD side, not to use that too much to where it orchestrates our emotions, feelings, things like that. Okay, and so the whole process of that is look and see what can we learn from. Let's take a trip down memory lane, analyze what has gone on, um, and see what we can learn from those things. But at the same time, not using those as a precise blueprint on what's going to happen because despite the fact like we can learn a few things, we can learn a lot of things by the past price action for the past year or year and a half, even 2 years, but that doesn't mean that price action is going to behave the same way. And so I kind of want to go along in that stride to say like I do expect a bull market rally, a big one. Now there's no guarantee of that. However, if we do that, the price action patterns are not going to be how they have been for the past 12 months. They're much going to be more in tune with 2017 and 2020, but you can't even use those as a blueprint either. So there's a few different ways to analyze that, right? And that's why I released a couple videos. One of them was how to trade bullish price action because the market is going to change. The market behavior is going to change. I, for one, I love being a combination of I like ARIN a lot. Obviously, that's my go-to. And the ARIN trend is a predictive based momentum and trend indicator. And so there's a lot of confusion by that because a lot of people say, well, do you trade trends? People think moving averages. That's not the case for me personally. That being said, a lot of people that are in this space for some time, a lot of people look down upon trend trading, although a lot of people do it. And so it's kind of confusing to me. A lot of people think it's a training wheels or a basic indicator, or you should be more intelligent to like I don't, and not that moving averages are dumb, but like some people think like you are a nobody unless you try the most 200 IQ thing ever. And I think a lot of that is silly. Because if we look according to all price action history of Bitcoin, and even TradeFi and Legacy and all these equities, everything, like trends tend to be the most optimal way to perform, honestly. So I think price action has, I like price action trading. It is part of the academy as well, so I incorporate it. But it's usually done as more of a to close positions or to look at rallies or breaks of resistance or support, things like that. So I do use them, but I don't use them all by themselves. And so, anyway, I digress because I'm kind of going too far with this, but I do want to share a couple things. And so, first of all, I kind of want to go through the recent price action for really the past year. So this is pretty much it. And as you can see, basically November 10th, which that would be 3 days from now, would be pretty much the big drop of like around this time last year was when the FTX thing happened and that guy's in jail now and everything like that. But that was pretty much the bottom. So like right here is kind of where we are for a year to date. And so I kind of want to analyze the last year in perspective, like what has gone on in this regard. Well, one thing we had that big drop, and the sentiment here was very grim, right? We had a very grim outlook about this. Not there was not a lot of people trading at this time because we had Celsius, we had other things going on, Gemini as well. I got caught up in Gemini. A lot of people got caught up into everything, right? A lot of people lost all their money in FTX, and so there's a lot of people that just don't have money right now, and so that kind of plays into that. But overall, like what can we learn from this? Like the biggest theme is not to get tied up into all these products and assets. Don't put all your money on one place, like FTX, for example, or Celsius or Gemini, for example. I didn't have much money in Gemini, but you get the idea, right? So don't let yourself go into that system again. I'm not a big fan of custodial places. I'm still a much big fan of DeFi, having access to my keys. I'm old school like that, which is a weird thing to say in the crypto world because that's what the crypto world was designed for. It was designed for you to have complete access. And just today I saw American Express is going to integrate DeFi wallets into their apps where you can mint NFTs. Well, now you have a wallet connected to a credit processing platform. And so there's a lot of things in that are kind of weird in my opinion. So, but one thing that we can take a look at here is, so with these interactions we had a range, we had a breakdown from that. So let me see if I can mark this. So here was pretty much your range. And so what you can do, and I've mentioned here, I screwed that up. So what I've mentioned before is like a consolidation like this. If you want to mark it out, you can do like so. So here's your marker. I need to get rid of this. All right, so we got that. And as you can see, I marked it with this consolidation. So this was the high, this was the low, and it tapped out right at the top here. So that's one thing you got to look for, right? And so then that's your range. Once you get a consolidation or breakdown, this becomes a deviation, and then the follow through becomes likely to go down. So a lot of this, even though people were scared, fearful, things like that, what you need to know is that the TA works. That's the big thing about going through the memory lane here, is that you may have been obsessed with emotions and fear and losing money or whatever, but all the TA stuff happened as it always does. That's why TA is such a good tool, is we can go back to that, we can learn from it. In addition to that is when we had this marker here, this was your low. Once we broke the bottom of this, we went down, we consolidated, went down again. So that's kind of the MO, right? And so honestly, going into this year, it's pretty much the same thing. So we had a consolidation here, uptrend, small consolidation, uptrend, another consolidation here, 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 here. So I basically want to mention, for as far as this year, well, first of all, what I want to mention this year is that this year was a prime example of we consolidate after we go up. Okay, it's not, we don't rally hard consistently. We only rally for maybe a week or two, and that leads us to current day because we did rally and then we kind of just did a slow upward grind with that. But a lot of people didn't take advantage of this because of what happened last year. It's like you're a lot of you guys are too scared to get in, didn't want to get in, didn't get in here, wanted to get in here but got stopped out, wanted to get in here, got stopped out, and now you guys are trying to get in here, and so far people have not gotten stopped out, and that could mean more fuel for another rally, possibly by the end of this year or what have you. So, with all that being said, that's where the bear market PSTD comes into play. Is like, don't trade future performances as past performances. Now, that doesn't mean that that can't happen the same way, of course. But you need to understand that market cycles, like there's many cycles within a major cycle. Okay. And we just went through a minor cycle, a bear market cycle. I am 100% convinced the bear market is over. Okay. Contrary to a lot of people's belief, a lot of good traders out there uh, got this wrong. Okay. And they deceived you, and you should unfollow them. At the same time, I'm not saying that you should always follow me because I can be wrong as well. But a lot of people got this majorly wrong. Okay. And so I've made pretty good money as far as my positioning that I've had for the past 12 months. And so I don't want you guys to. I only say that to say it's because of the positioning, it's because I didn't focus on a certain part of the cycle. I tend to be somebody that likes to trade higher time frame, trade with a perspective in mind. So when I bought late last year, I mean, I probably qualify for long term gains now, potentially, or maybe in another month. But when I bought with 2023 in mind, 2024 in mind. Okay, I did not buy, whenever I bought, let's just say December 1st, I did not buy with December 15th in mind. And that's the thing. A lot of people trade to try to get immediate gains, and that is why a lot of you guys fail. It's why most of you guys fail. Because you're too focused with the high leverage, you're too focused with the immediate gains. And that's the thing. Like, I want to emphasize this. Where are we at here? So let's just say January 1st, make it really easy, simple, right? We're up 114% from January 1st. Did you make 114% on your portfolio this year? And that's a relatively easy question. Because one, 114% is not that much. Um, honestly, for the crypto world. It's really a lot for the legacy world. But if you do not make 114%, you should quit trading and you should just buy and hold and buy and hold and buy and hold. And that's the thing. A lot of you guys have tried to trade 2023 with a 2022 mentality, and you guys got stopped out. You got too focused on the fundamentals, too focused on the news, and you didn't make that 114%. Okay, so I think that's just worth mentioning. I also think it's worth going down memory lane to analyze this. This helps you recognize your mistakes. You should recognize your mistakes. And it's okay to make mistakes. I make more than you probably. But the thing is, I go back to my edge and I say, one of my big edges is that I don't try to make money, I try not to lose money. And that cycles into making money. Okay? That's the idea. And now, as we go into the end of this year, going into next year, I don't want you to think that 2023 is going to be like 2024 or vice versa. I also don't want you to think that 2024 will be like any other year in the past. Every year is going to be different. But what I want to say in regards to this video is to don't let your bear market PTSD get the best of you, because you are going to miss big opportunities. You will. Okay? That was one of my biggest regrets for the last cycle, is that I tried to play 2020 and 2021 like 2018. And like I said, if I would have played things better, I would not even be recording this video, because I would be long retired. So, anyway, that's pretty much the theme, for the pretty much the theme section for the video. I'm going to cover the rest of the theme as I do the analysis, so that way we can cover some charts as well, get that going, and we'll start with Bitcoin. All right, so for the first part of this video, I'm going to cover Bitcoin, and I'm going to cover the recent chop. That's going to be kind of the theme that we're going with that. So let's kind of get started here on the weekly. So one thing that we can see here on the weekly, kind of zoom up here. So we had a pretty big day about 3 weeks ago. That's continued to be the case last week, and now we've continued to already rally for this week. And now that lends a few different things. If you look in combination of the previous week, we've had 4 weekly bullish candles in a row. Pending this week, of course, we're only 2 days into it, but that matches a lot of them, a lot of weeks. So this matches this one right here. So kind of this rally right here that we had as far as the lows, and that's pretty much it. We haven't really had a 4 week bullish rally for some time now. Again, I want to emphasize this candle is not currently closed, but this looks very similar in this scope that we could see. So one thing you could analyze from this immediately is that we could have a similar structure. We could have a consolidation structure, dip to lows, back into new highs. So I kind of want that to be brought up. And again, that goes into the memory lane perspective. Look at the things that have happened and try to see if they fit in the place of what is happening now. However, at the same time, don't play it as 2022. First of all, that was 2023. But don't play it as if you were in a bear market, because this, in my opinion, was not bear market price action. I think a lot of people treat the idea of a bear market differently. I don't look at this as a bear market. Like, a lot of people interpret it as like, if it's within this, underneath this price point here, it's a bear market. If it's up here, it's a bull market. I don't treat it that way. I treat it, if I have an opportunity um, for this to look like the cycle is changing, then I automatically think the bear market is over. And we can kind of see that with the Wall Street cheat sheet, honestly. Like, the hope cycle, the hope mini cycle is the end of the bear market cycle. I mean, the depression stage is the last part of that cycle, right? So just keeping that in mind. So overall, looking pretty good. We do have a bearish consolidation that we did start with. So it's one of these things. It needs to clear the highs up here at 36,000. But we're already pretty close anyway. So that could lead to another bearish, or a bullish rally, I should say. We've had the bullish cross ever since this impulse to the upside about 2.5 weeks ago. Um, and that was pretty much the case for this whole rally right here. And so, as you can see, we've spent a good majority, Avern wise, in bullish price action. That's another thing that I look at it as, because the bullish cross was right here on this big upswing. So let's say, we incorporate this whole area right here. So right here, this never crossed bearish, so this would be where it did cross bearish. And so right here, this was all bullish price action from an Avon perspective, okay? This small section right here was bearish price action. And we can look at that by, maybe putting it in red if I can. But you get the idea, right? So that's the thing. This was your bearish price action. This was your bullish. Now we're going into bullish price action again. And so that's something I want you guys to keep in mind. We're still staying the course. Nothing's really changed as far as like bearish. Nothing's changed as far as like again going back to the bearish PTSD mentality. I have a hard time thinking that we're going to go below into these ranges again. The idea that we could just drop all of a sudden is possible. It's always possible, but it's going to be much more unlikely as the cycles kind of go a certain direction, right? So RSI is up pretty high. It's at 72%, but no divergence, nothing to be concerned about, nothing like that. I still think that we could get anywhere between a drop from at the lows of 30,600 to the highs at 31,800. It looks clearer on the daily. That's why I have the block there for that. But overall, I think the higher that we go, the more likely it's going to drop farther. So we'll see how that goes. And I'll get into my price point ideas in the Ethereum section. So overall, currently on the daily, we have a channel, and so it's kind of like so. I got kind of a position that I was looking at, not doing really the best, but overall, this is kind of the channel that I'm looking at. A drop below would be 33,500. And again, here's that breaker that I was looking at. This was a bullish breaker, so when you break up above this should eventually come down. Now, as far as I don't know when that's going to take place, and I'm not going to speculate when. I'm not going to draw some BS line to make you feel better about what this is going to do, right? Because a lot of people will do that, and I can tell you they have no clue. They have no clue what they're talking about. Okay, you can't like if I had the ability to map out predictions of prices for the next 2 months, like I should get a $5 million a year job on Wall Street. Okay, like that's not something people know how to do in their basement, in their underpants. Okay, and if they do, they're not going to be telling you about it on a tweet. I'm just saying. So go with that mentality that generally speaking, a lot of people don't know what they're talking about. And the ones that do are typically a little more quiet about it, things like that. So we do have a bear div. We also have a hidden bull div. I've mentioned this before in my Discord, especially, is that when you get a bear div with a hidden bull div, they tend to the price action becomes not as bearish as it should be, so it becomes into more of a slower bleed, slower chop. And so that's why I'm a little more confident to think that we won't get a flash crash. Some of these flash crashes that we did get were like GRT, for example, that rallied all the way up here. This was an apex trade that we did. I'll cover an apex video later on, but this was an 8.2% rally, and it went up 67%, and it came down 13%. And so it's one of those things like this went up pretty significant, went up to a rally. It's actually at a retest point right now, so all these look pretty good. It rallied high. That's why it's coming down low more. That's how it goes, right? Gravity, momentum, kick in. But that's where I see with Bitcoin, and it's looking pretty good so far. So as far as the recent drop is concerned, like overall, there's nothing like things have dropped. So like near, for example, but most of these, like this is still within its range. Like a lot of these didn't drop as much as you think they did. We had a pretty good rally. Okay, so this is corrective in nature. This is not distributive in nature. There's a big difference. A correction is where things are going to go back to its new demand price point, and that new demand is going to be wherever it retests. Right? We don't know that. We don't know that until hindsight. A distributive formation is when the market is trying to consolidate to get a lower demand. That means we've already topped out, or there's some expectations that we are no longer going to rally, and nothing here in the markets tell me that the markets are distributive in nature. They are consolidative in nature, which means I should say, a bullish consolidation. We're trying to, and a consolidation is just a period where we have a lower price point to determine is this the correct price for its demand or its supply. That's the thing. Supply, think short; demand, you think buy, basically. So you kind of work that out. And so overall, it's looking pretty good. It's looking more of a bullish consolidation. I do think we could get a larger dip, but I don't think that's going to be distributive in the long term high time frame. And so that's kind of how I'm looking at that. Let's go ahead and go on to Bitcoin dominance, and we'll check out some more stuff. All right, let's go on to Bitcoin dominance. I'm going to take a look at this. I can already tell I'm not going to get into any other alts other than Ethereum and Solana. So one thing that we can see here from the daily, we had the big uptrend here, consolidating back down. I kind of want to cover the weekly, however, first. No divergence on this, interestingly enough. We're kind of in a weird price point. It's one of those things, you kind of have like this structure overall as a concern. That's kind of where we're looking at right now. I had mentioned that when we go below the trend line, we could get an alt season. I'm not necessarily convinced of either direction just yet. This is the first time ever that we've crossed this trend line and held that. So we are into some new territory. Now, again, I want to say that with a grain of salt because the dominance chart isn't really something that people trade from. It's just something that people kind of look at. So, no divergence, nothing just yet on this. Overall, looking pretty good. We have a bearish consolidation on Aaron, and so I think we could continue to go down. But I think this diagonal here is the one to watch for a retest or a breakdown to see if we maybe have a continued altcoin rally. I think the longer this goes up, the more Bitcoin is going to stay as the number one. And I can tell you, my biggest bag still is Bitcoin, just because there's no weakness in it. Okay, like just because it doesn't move for a week or 2 weeks doesn't mean it's weak in general, right? And so I've been more than happy. I've made more money in altcoins than I have in Bitcoin past couple of weeks, but it's doesn't mean that Bitcoin is weak. And so that the big mistake would be thinking that we're, again, kind of goes into that bear market PTSD memory lane kind of thing. Don't think that we're just going to jump into an altcoin season. Be mindful of your surroundings. Be mindful of your price action. I always keep BTC, and as you can see, it and Solana are the only coins that are up today. And so, did you think, like, I'm up on my BTC portfolio 1.5%, while a lot of people are down double digits. So just keep that in mind, because not every day you're going to have, altcoins are going to go up more than Bitcoin, but they're also going to go down more than Bitcoin. So keep that in mind. I just hedge accordingly. So that's Bitcoin and the drop down. In the next video, or the next section, we are going to cover Ethereum, and kind of cover some price options for the rest of the year. All right, so going on to Ethereum, I want to look at this from the weekly perspective. I kind of want to get this fib thing out of the way and then kind of look at this as well. So we had the rally from last week, pretty big rally. This is kind of what we wanted to see out of Ethereum. It's done pretty decent, honestly, for the past 3 weeks. A lot of people are making fun of it, and 21% isn't that bad. That's the thing. Like, it's doing good. I mean, as you guys can see, it's only down less than half of 1% today versus other coins. Like, a lot of people were making fun of Ethereum, like, because it wasn't going up compared to other coins, but it's still doing just fine. It's got a pretty good rally so far. Um, One thing I want to keep in mind is we had this rally from here, from the retest point, from resistance, and it's as simple as that, guys and girls. Like, it's you get a retest on a trend line, it expands. It's dead simple, dead simple. So I just want you guys to keep that in mind. So overall, pretty good rally so far. No consolidation, no bearish consolidation on the ARIN. The AO also kind of makes me suggest that I think we are going to get another rally. I think Ethereum will take over in some regards. We had the push up above on the 50, so that's pretty good. Overall, looking very solid on the weekly. I think actually just crossed bullish last week as well. So I do think that this is going to get probably going to be stronger over the next 3 months than I think it has been. And we'll look at ETH BTC in a second to kind of look at that. Going on to the daily, we had this break above this range. This is the range I talked about in Discord. We have the resistant, or we have a wick here. We have drop down retest. So this is looking pretty good. I think on the 4 hour it shows a little bit better. We retested pretty good here, but we still have another consolidation period. So we have a bullish consolidation as well on the A-run, so that's also worth noting. But I think we have a good chance to get to 2000 here. Overall, looking pretty good. So that's pretty much Ethereum. It's pretty easy to analyze. This weekly triangle gives you a great perspective on this. This is something I've had this pretty much laid out ever since this Adam and Eve pattern showed up. So ever since April of this year. So about 6 months now I've been looking at this, 7 months. So it hasn't changed. Once it breaks out, I don't think it's going to go back in. I don't. I think once we get out of here to towards the 2000, I think we go pretty quickly to the 4600 range and go there. So looking for like price ideas. I don't want to say price predictions. I hate the word prediction because I'm not here to predict anything. But something with Bitcoin. I'll go back to Bitcoin for just a second and look at this. So one thing that I would think a lot of there's been a new theme that we're going to get to all-time highs in Bitcoin by the end of the year. I think that's severely short-sighted, no pun intended, because it is technically because there's a short time frame. But I don't think I'm hard pressed to think that we're going to go another 82% in 40 days. It is possible. We've done it before, right? So let me look at this here just a second. And so was it 40? What 40 days? So we've done that before. This would be roughly the same amount at 112. So we have done this before. So it's not out of the ordinary. But I don't really see any reason why we would just want to make these type of price predictions. Okay, overall. In addition to that, we're already up pretty high. So let's say it would go to the 73 percentile, which is right here. So that's May 26. So let's go back to May 26, roughly right here, and then we go up to 40 with that same. I mean, we went about 73. So it is possible. I would say that it is definitely within the range of possibility, especially things that we've seen in the crypto world. That's not going to be that weird of a thing if it does happen. I just don't necessarily see that because we have a distribution, we have a consolidation here to break, we have one here to break as well. This one's going to be the weakest in my opinion. But if we kind of get rid of all this here, you got this area to work with, and so we are. That's one reason we're getting this rounding out is because we're already trying to resist this just a little bit. And so your key to break through this would be getting to 41,600 first. And then if you break through that, then you have this one to rally, which also overlaps this one. So your 45,000 marker is going to be pretty hard to go through, I think. Now, once you get to 45,000, if you break that, then I think we have a good chance at all-time high. I do. So I want you to keep that in mind. But the one thing I don't want you to do is stay on the sidelines and wait for that and sit and be excited about the bear market or bull market when you're not making any money. So, so as far as like what are the what's my highest possibility that I think that we could go? I think 47. I think is probably the highest realistic target in my opinion. I'm not here to knock any bad targets by any means. I just think a 32% jump from here is probably the highest reasonable price. I want to be clear that I don't think that we are going to go up that high. So when I say these things, I'm looking at a possible range. I don't see that we will go this high, but I'm also not saying that we won't. I'm just looking at areas of interest to me. So 47,400 basically would be my target. 45 if you want to be more conservative with that. On the downside, I do think there's a great chance that we could see 31,600. I think one of the highest things that people don't see is the possibility of going back to 30,000 in the beginning of January. Now, quarter four tends to be a good quarter. December tends to be a good quarter. January especially tends to be a good quarter as well. But I think it would be unexpected at this point to go down this low, but that's not outside the realm of possibility. So if you want me to look at a low, I think it would be like right here, probably 28,000. Now, I think the chances of going below 30 for more than a day or two are very slim. I do. But I do think no more than 28,000 would be a realm of possibility. That's a price point that you want to buy. That's not a price point that you want to be fearful of. So those are the areas of interest for me for Bitcoin. Going on to Ethereum. Um, Honestly, I don't. The thing is if we break $2,000 in Ethereum, I don't think that we're going to go back again. So I think currently the low of for the rest of the year would probably be 1550. I don't even think we're going to go that far, but I think that would be my low of possibility, I should say. And then my high of possibility here would probably be 3,000. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. It's kind of built into that. So overall, those are my two price points. I can't really mention all the price points I'm looking at, but those are it basically. Um you got to be mindful of all these that they could go higher than you think, they could go lower than you think, and that also has to frame your references for how you play the price action. And then I'm going to go into ETH BTC just a second before we get into Solana. And basically, what we see here is we have this holding. I had mentioned this here previously. It has rallied so far, not very much, but the RSI is pretty low. It got down to 26. My marker for reversal is usually 25, so we're very close to that. And one thing that you can see here is that we very rarely go past. We've never gone past 23, in fact, at least on the Bitcoin chart. So I just want that to be kept in mind. I think there's a high chance that we rally here, especially at a double bottom. This looks pretty crappy. Looks like an upside down Adam and Eve, but I don't play those like that. I don't play inverse charts because they don't make sense when you look at them from a trend perspective. So I do think that we bounce here. We have a consolidation on the A run to confirm that as well. Everything looks pretty solid. No follow through just yet, but I'm keeping that in mind overall. But the daily, however, does give you a bullish divergence. We did have a markdown today, but overall, pretty big wedge forming on the bearish side. But I think as long as we hold this 0.52 range, I think we're doing just fine. So anyway, that's the Ethereum section. Now I'm going to go into Solana and finish off this video. All right, now we're going to go to Solana. Solana is up a little bit for today. Going to go to the weekly as well. This is a big chart that I was looking at. I'll kind of explain that in just a second. So as far as recent price action, we had a pretty big swing up last week. That was probably the biggest high that we've had so far, probably even as big as this one. And so it looks pretty good. We did get a bearish consolidation on this, however, but we're still going to go up. Again, this kind of makes me think that we will kind of round up and down a little bit across the market. And so don't be surprised. Don't be surprised that we don't go down, but don't be surprised also that we don't make as much of a priced point for the next 2 to 3, even 4 weeks, possibly even the rest of the year. I don't know if the momentum is there. I would much rather see the market go a little bit slightly corrective versus expanding, because I think the expansion will happen next year, and then next year will be much more fun in that regard. The worst thing that would happen right now, in my opinion, is that we would go up, which would be great if you can get out and take profits, right? But then we're going to go back down faster. And so I would much rather correct this and then go up after that. And that also, again, that's not necessarily what I want. That's just what I see in the market as well. That tends to show the case right here. RSI is also pretty high on top of that. And this 600% here, this is what I had mentioned beforehand. And so this was originally at the lows when I bought lower down here at sub 20s. And this was at the price point of $34.74, that it would be basically a 6x to the highs. And now if you kind of put this upwards here, now you're looking at 470%. And so that's the thing. A lot of you guys have not been in Solana. You've been focusing too much on making fun of it instead of trying to make money. And now you only have a 4.7x left opportunity, versus when I got in, let's just say 19 even, you had like a 12x. Okay. And so a lot of you guys probably didn't get in even lower than that. I mean, if you got in lower than that, that's great. But it went from a 12 it went from a 12x to a 4.7. So you can see how much your returns will become diminished over time. And that's one of those things that we need to be cautious of when we go into price action. That you need to be sure of the price points that you see ahead of time in the future, things like that. So as far as the returns for potential testing to all-time high, it went from a 12x to a 4.7. Now I'm going to get rid of that, go on to the daily. We do have a divergence in play. Kind of get rid of that here. I do think that we'll probably try to retest one of these two areas here. If we don't retest the first, we'll get to the second, and I think that's because of the trend line right here. But everything is going good so far with this. The bearish wedge Aaron is in play. It's going to be there for, it's at the 50% marker, so probably about 7 to 8 more days, possibly 9. And so I think that we are going to continue to make a lower we won't make a new high for a week is I think what I'm trying to get at. Again, confirms my suspicion that we will round out and then drop just a little bit. So I'm not in any rush to add positions right now or even to take profits because I think the idea is to look for another perspective in mind for the rest of the year. So other than that, very similar to Ethereum. So I think overall I want you to be cautious for the rest of the year. I don't want you guys necessarily to jump into positions right away, but also be mindful of the price action. Don't try to think. The biggest thing is don't play the rest of 2023 like 2022. Don't play 2024 like 2023. Okay, treat every part of the cycle differently, and but also keep in mind of the mistakes that you've made and try to learn from those mistakes as well. If you like this video, I hope you like and subscribe. Look in the LinkedIn description for my scripts and services. I hope to see you next time. Take care.